Hi, this is just a quick update of zHome Plus version 5 and 5.1. I did a video a long time ago on zHome Plus as my preferred go-to. It is a companion app for HomeSeer. It is a bit quicker, I find, than other applications. Now, the reason I use it is a personal reasons. The other ones I don't have a problems with. Jono's new one. I can't even think HOS Buddy, etc. But I prefer this as the go-to. I don't walk around. I got rid of all the big screens around my house that had controls, and I'm just using this as my primary. So it's literally a remote control, but it does have some really good functions that have come with the latest two releases. And I'll go through some of those within the custom scenes and the caveats of use, as I'll call it, or the predicate uses around doing those and what they've got. So I'm just looking at my iPhone here. I've got the manual opened. The new manual over here goes through the updates that he's released. He's got a section on 5.1, and I'm going to call them the caveats or the predicate use that you can set around doing it. So let's just have a look at some of the new functionalities. The ones I want to point out is the backup is still the same. The transfer setting is a new one that was in version 5. The transfer settings is to do between phones and synchronization. There's also a second transfer channel here that allows you to transfer geofence, VPNs, and icons from a different device to each other, and that allows you to set your configurations up here. Now, for the sake of this, I'm using my home testing, so this is a big system. It's over or nearly 3,000 devices on it, and you can see how quick it got there. So this is my home screen. I've got some test devices. I've got my favorites, etc. And in here, this is just my favorites for the sake of it. There's different colors, and I'll go through those as we move through. The green, they are zHome Plus custom scenes, and you can see on the top right there's some different icons, and I'm not sure that I'll see the third configuration, which will be a little clock type thing, but we'll set one of those up. The next thing you can see is the blue icon. That is a scene from HomeSeer that has been represented here by that icon. It does not have a status, it's just agnostic to an action. And then we have devices with their status icons on there. Right. So the first one we've said is the custom devices. Sorry, bring up a device. From any devices that we go on, we can do a long press and bring it up, and it gives us our actions there. In this case here, I'm looking at a curtain, and it's got my controls. Now I can control what I get in here from HomeSeer. In this case here, I've got 3 choices, and there's around each corner there is an icon representing custom rooms. In the top left bottom is a custom scene, and then we've got some info about the device on the top right, and it tells us about that. And then bottom left, and then on the top right we've just got the thing. So you can directly from any device add it to a custom room. Right, I want to add it and assign it to that room, or I can assign it to a custom scene. So if I selected a custom scene, it'll give me, do you want to add the device? Then down below you can see it actually tells the setting for that, but we'll come back to that. The icons that you see here up the top left and the top right devices, you can see when devices are either set or not set. So if I turned around and said, I'm not going to do it, for example, cat's locked in, oh yeah, let's do it. It'll fire off the action to that, and it'll update when the systems are changed. Oh, I don't want to do it, but so if I go curtains close, I can bring up the devices and perform the scene. Right, it'll go around to my house now and close off all the curtains. You'll hear it closing the office curtain right now, and you'll see that it's changed the status. If I now want them all open, I will perform the scene just by a quick tap, and now once again you heard they're open and the scene changed. There is, I think, 14 curtains, electronic curtains around my house, so that's how quick that went through. So that's the basic context at the higher level. Assign it from in the configuration. There is a few new system utilities that we'll go through. You can show the custom room, so it gives you what you've got set up, and you can delete them from in here. That's one place. Show custom scenes, and you can see what you've got, how many devices are in each one of them. And you can, once again, delete, and you can validate the devices. Now this one is very important because we change things in homes here, and once when you set a custom scene or a custom room, this is what those first two are all about, you can actually create orphans. Because I create, for example, a virtual door. This is unaware, it's in there today in your configuration, but you've set it as a scene like you do within homes here of setting an event. Once when you delete that device, it doesn't delete the scene from the event. This is the same that can happen to any application where it is running its own configuration around that, and it has its own databases and it stores what you want to see. So that's the systems utility. There's set a SSL, so I can select any one of these scenes here to execute remotely if I've set it up for this. There's a bit about that in the setup. I'm not going to go through it. The other point that with a custom scene with 5.1 over here, it says it's got some custom scenes additions that it's add, and it adds a day of the week, valid time of the week, and is it daylight on. So each one of those are around the custom scene editor. Now the custom scene editor, I'm just going to bring up bay curtain windows, and you can see here that I've got 3 things in there, and I can set the status from it, what I want it to do. So if I want it to be, for example, closed, just click off it. I can change the status of what I want to set it to. And this is when you see, so basically we have offloaded an event, and we've got monitoring of that event and feedback that the event has actually fully executed now within zHome Plus. And you can see the status of that any time. So you don't have to set up a virtual switch to say run it. You can have it as an event off and run it here, and you know that I've executed it and it's got the feedback from the device that it is in this status. So the 2 things you see, the left in the black says it's open, and my scene has set to close, so it's saying that it is not right, and then I've got off, off, off. And you can see that from the device, from the scenes, from wherever you want to go to. You can delete a scene, but you can set the predicate use. So up the top there's got the day of the weeks. So everything is currently on. If I uncheck that I don't want it to run on Monday, or I only want it to run between a certain time, I can bring up the times, and let's say, for example, I'll set it for 5:35 until 6:35. You can either have the time or you have it daylight or dark. Right, so in this case here I've set the time, but if I want to change, and this is what the developer Dan has mentioned too within daylight or dark within this section here of the app on page 24, it tells you that there is 4 conditions in which we have the sunset and sunrise, and they tell you what they are in here. So your civil example is the normal one used by most people. It says page 24. I'm taking a long time to scroll, and I'm trying to do that in here. So it goes through and tells you what they are. All right. So normally it is civil, which is when you would do it in homes here, and then there's the official nautical. If you're sitting, for example, at the 40th parallel, north or south, that'll adjust quite considerably when that comes in. It can be up to an hour difference, an astronomical up to an hour and a half. So if you're talking summer down here south, I'm in Victoria in Australia. We're in the middle of our summer. If I set it to civil, it'll be about 30 minutes later than the official. If I set it to nautical, it's about, at the moment, 50 minutes later, and astronomical, it's about 2 hours later. Obviously, the closer you are to the pole, the summer, the greater the impact. In winter, it's going to be shorter. So I've set it there, and I'm going to set the modifiers as it is known. So I'll now go back to my home screen, and I will find the scenes, which is here, and I set the bay window open, and you can now see that it has got an icon up there displaying the differences. The next thing you've got is you can set up geofences. Now the geofences you set with a scene, you set your device, and you can say where it is. I can go and modify the scene, and I can say what are my entry and exit scenes from zHome Plus that I would like to execute as part of this. I can disable and enable it, and I give it my latitude and latitude, and you can see where I live. You can also do a search. Oops. You can also no. Okay, that's me. Um, Offence. Right. I've got to select it first. You can also see I'm rename it, disable, enable it. But you can up the top do a search for an address and then find it. It is very, very responsive to that, or you can go and zoom in and save my geofence. Right. You can have multiple geofences. I think up to 20 is the limit from Apple, and obviously the app's got to work within that constraints. Right, the solar scene setups. This is what we're talking about before. What do we use as a default across the phone? And you set it against your location, and you can put in your address and find that. I'm just trying to go back to the manual. Excuse me for a moment. I want to remember all the things that have been released in 5.1 and see if I can cover them. 5.1 covers. There we go. The day of the week, things, solar setups, and change custom scene modifiers. Right, so we've seen those. Up here, some of the files we've talked about the transfer channels. Touch things not going to worry about the scenes and events. As I said, if we execute this, the goes onto displays. This has got a time constraint, so if I try to empty, it says I cannot perform it because I've set it for a day of the week or against the scene, so I can bypass and override that control that we've put on it. The indexing we've got there is the show custom rooms and show. So custom rooms, you can create your own desktops as many as you like. I haven't got many on here. As I said, I've tended to go away from custom rooms, but you can create that. You can put an icon on it. You can, say for example, add a space if you want it to do it. I've tended, as I said, to go to only have limited devices on it. I want it to be quick, responsive, and I don't want to be wasting. So with that, you can show only custom rooms. So once when you've enable that, if I go back here, I'll only see that. So I have a clean screen and I only have what I want to have. Of course, as I said, I've got a big configuration. I've got over 3,000 devices. I've got nearly 100 lights in the house, and I can control part of that from at home. So of saying hide from mobile, or I can elect to display it. Now with this, I've got the applications here for the Joey Hue. There's some work going on from that on the Joey Hue app for the Zigbee lights, and I can go here and I can select my color wheel. Now this will change in the future along with the application, and as some things are fixed within the Joey Hue app. It's one of the constraints right now. I can set the lights, I can set the color, and I can turn it on or off, and you can see the icon, and that's how quick it is to do those things. I can obviously set dim levels, turn it on and off, and change the colors and do those which are inherent to the Philips Hue app. You can also use the Combi 2 or Combi to integrate for sensors, etc. I'm not showing any of those, so I can go back and have a look. I can set up a VPN. I can do iCloud backups, which I'm going to do here, and I'll back it up, and I can back it up and restore the transfer channel, as I said, to do. Now, one of the ones that I did have major issues for is I was changing my system so dynamically that the system utility become my friend to validate the scene devices when I delete it. Now, there is an easy way to show you this. I'm not going to do it. I could set up and hide a thing from mobile. All of a sudden, I do a refresh. It's in a scene. It'll show me where I have created an orphan app. You can then make a decision what you want to do with it. It is a longer video. I'm sorry about that. I just want to do a quick overview. There is some really good enhancements, especially the offloading of events to your phone, the positive feedback that is either executed, it's in the correct state, so it's active or not active, or if it's got any time constraints against it that you've configured. Now, the classic example for me why I would inadvertently run a scene at night that set off an alarm system and wake the kids or my wife, and therefore having the time constraints that I can't run that silly scene, and it is a silly scene, through the middle of the night, has been a lifesaver for me. I really do like this app, as you can see, for a big device, big setup, and I'll change to another configuration. It's very quick. That's also, and the test system in itself is a small system. It only has about 1,000 devices in it. It takes a little bit longer because it's a slower scene, but it's not connecting, so it means it's probably not up and running at the moment. I'll have to check that. And there is another one that's connecting to a big system. Right, so I've got a few systems set up there for testing purposes, and you can see how quick it is to load. Now I need to go back and obviously turn the custom scene editor and turn off show custom room, go home. You can see it's now live, and there's all my devices. The Sonos, configured the Sonos. It shows the device. It's not playing, so it's got no details of what playing. There's a test amp. Whoops. I can go to my with my kitchen. You can move these devices, so long press, normal Apple procedures, and it saves where you wanted to do it. There's my pictures for some of the devices. Home, garage. Right. I was looking for the library. It probably hasn't got anything playing again. No, it hasn't had anything playing. It's not configured right now. So you can control it. You cannot set up anything else. The rest of it's either set up in your Sonos app, or you set it up within Home here, and this is just to do the controls of it, move it, skip it forward, and display what you're doing, so you don't have to keep on opening multiple apps. And can't see it right now. I'm getting blind in my old age. Anyway, you get the idea. It's fast. It works. The offloading of the devices to zHome has been a real benefit. All right, I'll call it quits there, and I hope you enjoy.